Hello and welcome. I believe we're live, so I will be very happy to start the second day of New Visions of Reality. We are hosting an online gathering where we discuss the relationship between art, new media, technology, and the challenges of 2020, of course. We're generously hosted by Andrzej Wajda Center for Film Culture, a brandly new established cultural institution in the city of Warsaw. And so I would like to really thank the head of the Film Center, Joanna Rożen-Wojciechowska, who has entrusted us to host New Visions of Reality for the second time already. And although this year we're meeting online uniquely for obvious reasons, we're also very happy that thanks to the fact that we have moved our events to digital platforms, we can reach a wider audience and we can establish a connection with people that maybe we could not really meet if we met in Warsaw as we did last year. I want to briefly introduce our program for today. We have a very exciting lineup filled with panels and presentations from, I believe, the most inspiring and impactful industry members of the global immersive community. I'm super proud that we managed to have with us today 5 extraordinary women who are pushing the XR market forward and who have been doing that within digital communities for a number of years already. We're going to have with us Maria Mashart from Phi Center, Liz Rosenthal from Venice VR, Maria Rakusanova from Vive and Rain Dance, Ingrid Kapp from Electric South, and Kat Cizek from the MIT Open Doc Lab / CoCreation studio. So you should absolutely stay with us and join the conversation, both here on the webinar and online on our YouTube channel. So without further ado, I would like to start with a quick note that I have prepared for you just to introduce today, explain a little bit what brought us to this specific lineup and what are we trying to discuss within this year's edition. So I'm just going to share my screen now, and I hope it works. And in case it doesn't work, I want to ask my amazing producer, Zuzanna, to tell me that I made something wrong. But for now, I think this should be fine. Can you see my slides? And can you hear me? Okay. Maybe I will just stop my video when I'm going to share my screen. All right. So my presentation today that I wanted to share with you is titled How 2020 Made Us Understand the Need of Togetherness. And I really wanted just to open with a few words of introduction of what we've been through so far and what sort of ideas, needs, and challenges this year has brought to us as a community and as members of this community that sometimes feel very lonely and very challenged by the dynamics of the current global situation. I'm going to just briefly say who I am and what I do. And then I'm going to dive deeper into the ideas I really wanted to discuss with you today. So I'm a creator and producer at Kaleidoscope, and Kaleidoscope is a professional global network for VR creators. We're also a production studio. We're hosting virtual events, and we also produce content. We try our best to facilitate the production of amazing VR projects, and we're trying to support our creators to be able to fund, produce, and distribute their pieces. I'm also a documentary and VR creator, and I work as an expert with European funds, both in Poland and in the European Union. I work a lot with public sector, with institutions like the Vaida Center for Film Culture, but also with academia and a number of NGOs. And in the past, I used to be a producer for Discovery Group, where I created content for a number of years. I also led a number of multimedia projects in cultural institutions in Poland, Polish National Opera being one of them. And this year was a very special year because in terms of the work that I had the privilege to do within the companies I work for, many things happened that inspired me to create this specific event that we're currently attending. So the work I did at Kaleidoscope, at Andrzej Wajda Center, at Centrum Cyfrowe, the NGO that we spoke with yesterday, and both the universities and art schools I've been collaborating with, and the funds, Polish Film Institute and Creative Europe. All these events and all these projects that I've been a part of has made me think about certain phenomenons that we observe within our industry that I would like to share with you, and that I would like to discuss with our guest speakers this afternoon. So I will just maybe briefly say what we do as Kaleidoscope, as a company, and what happened this year, because I believe this is a fundament for the idea of this event in a way that I had. So in the beginning of this year, we have established a very unique and exclusive partnership with a Canadian startup called the Museum of Other Realities. And what the Museum of Other Realities is it's a virtual gallery where you can exhibit immersive art and create art pieces that you couldn't really create anywhere else before. It's a uniquely virtual space. And our idea behind the collaboration with the More was that we wanted to encourage creators to exhibit more in VR in order to fly less, to be more, I would say, careful about the number of travels we do every year. And obviously, all these ideas were related to the climate crisis. And then when we were about to launch this collaboration, the lockdown started. And we saw a number of festivals and events we all love and cherish that just being canceled one by one. So we decided to just open up and say, look, if you want to host an event that you needed to cancel, let's do it together. Let's do it in VR. And our adventure with hosting virtual events in the More has started with a very courageous and forward-thinking curator from a festival called RAM. And the fantastic, amazing leader of this event, Ulrich Schraut, has entrusted us to try and create the first ever virtual festival in VR. And within a super short time frame, with plenty of question marks on the way, we did it. And we started something that currently is a very, I would say, common phenomenon. Now festivals in VR became a part of our everyday life. We're all testing new languages, new formats, new platforms. But it all started 6 months ago, and it's hard to believe when we think about it today. We also were very privileged to host I believe, the biggest VR exhibition in VR during ConXR, a beautiful, amazing selection co-curated by Tribeca Immersive. We hosted over 55 pieces in VR in a huge, massive venue in the More. And we just wrapped a beautiful edition of the Vancouver International Film Festival, the VIF Immersed section. It's still in the More. I do encourage you to visit it. I believe the space is magnificent. And it's also a part of a fantastic endeavor because the Vancouver Film Festival, I think, broke a record of how many platforms they use to distribute content and to make it available for as many people as possible. And except from that, we also collaborate with a number of festivals like New Images, but we also hosted a groundbreaking virtual fashion show event. We were involved also as a co-producer with the London Riot branch from Verizon Media. It was a spectacular project that I'm going to speak about a little bit later. And it was also something that proved that regardless of how far we are from each other and how difficult it is and how little time we have, we managed to build and create something absolutely stunning and beautiful. We're also collaborating with French Public Agenda. The French Immersion is the French cultural services in the US. And together with their amazing team, we're working on a year-long study. We track the impact of COVID on immersive industries. We also try to build a set of recommendations and good practices for European creators who wish to expand into the North American ecosystem. And last but not least, Kaleidoscope collaborates with generous tech partners and also our community members in creating something that I believe has never happened before. It's a program called Community Grants for Artists, and it has been launched by Renee Pennell, our CEO, when the pandemic hit. I think this is something that is a very beautiful and special initiative that should be covered in a separate presentation. But I'm just going to share a little bit of numbers and results that we had from this year. So as I already mentioned, ConXR and Tribeca Immersive exhibition in the Moor was probably the moment when it launched biggest VR exhibition in VR that hosted over 55 pieces, both completed and in development. And over a period of a few days, we had some 8,000 VR users attending the event, which was spectacular for us, as we are completely aware that it's still a fairly niche thing to be able to have a tethered headset and jump in the virtual gallery. For the Fabric of Reality, the beautiful, beautiful adventure we went on with Riot. We had free fashion designers paired with free VR artists. They've been working together for less than 3 months on creating virtual garments and story worlds that we then exhibited in the Moor. And our teams were spread all around the world. We've been in the UK, in the US, in Europe, and Canada. And what we managed to create together, despite the fact that we never met physically, was not only an amazingly beautiful VR exhibition that's still available in the Moor, but also AR versions of the same garments and an online distribution of a coverage made by Riot. When the coverage was released on Yahoo Taiwan, it hit over 1 million viewers within, I think, the first few days. So probably the numbers globally are much, much higher. And in terms of community grants, Kaleidoscope has distributed over $50,000 within the 6 months when the program was running to independent creators. We have different profiles for every grant. So we have Fun Futures for female creators. We have Black Realities Grant, Activist Lens, Creative Challenge, Premium VR, and a number of other grants that are specifically dedicated for creators who are working on a specific type of content. We also managed to get amazing companies on board who are also contributing to our grants, HP, Microsoft, and a number of other partners that we have been in touch with, and we're super proud and happy to have them on board. In terms of local collaborations that I was super inspired with this year in Poland, I would mention two, the most the most impactful from my point of view. And these are two public institutions, I mean, one being a public institution, one being an NGO, that aim at using technology for common good. And what is super special about our today's host, Andrzej Wajda Center for Film Culture, is not that it's very oriented towards innovation, but it's also oriented towards common good and the meaning of collaboration in our social relationships. The Vita Center was leading a working group during the first lockdown that brought together most of the cultural institutions in Warsaw. And the result of this activity was that currently the center was promoted to lead on the project of building the first public digital repo for all Warsaw-based cultural institutions, which I believe is a really huge milestone, not only for the center, but also for the entire city of Warsaw. And at Centrum Cyfrowe, the digital center that we had the pleasure of meeting with yesterday, we've been working on a year-long project, a collective study on social dimension of technology. People at the center reached out to experts from different disciplines to collaborate on 5 reports, but also on something that I believe is a beginning of a bigger movement, a movement that aims at showing to users, to institutions, to people who are involved in creating our public space, that tech should not be profit-oriented, that the main goal of using and creating technology should be common good. So I'm very, very proud and very privileged to be a part of these projects this season. So my takeaway from what happened so far is something that is fairly obvious to anyone working in digital, is that obviously there is much more interest in immersive, and both on practical level and in theory, there's a lot of debates and discussion about the development of immersive media, and also about digital becoming the new normal. This is something that has been widely discussed, brought up by, I believe, Nike CEO recently, that yes, the new normal is digital. And I believe that if this is the case, we should definitely rethink what it means for us, both in terms of standards, working conditions, good practices, and values on which we want to build this so-called new normal. But taking the business perspective aside, there are a few lessons from this weird year that we spent apart that I would like to share with you, because they became the fundament of the new visions of reality, the way we run it this season. And the first lesson, I believe, was something really important, is that, and I'm using here a line from, again, Ivan Krastev's amazing essay about how the pandemic changed Europe, is this notion of new kind of solidarity in distress. And this solidarity is very particular, because it's a solidarity of people who feel both connected and extremely lonely at the same time. And the good side of it is what Krastev says, that it made us much more cosmopolitan than ever, because for the first time, people everywhere have the same conversations and share the same fear. And for the first time, we use the same tools to work, to communicate, and to entertain, regardless of where we live, how much we earn, and what our lives are about every day. So it's a very new situation, a situation that I believe can be a source of a new hope. And this hope is something that is something that always follows every crisis. The COVID crisis has made us ask one question: how is it that we want to live, and what we consider essential? And it's true that immersive creators repeat this question continuously, which is a result of the early stage industry development, but it's also a consequence of hope that is a companion to anyone involved with technology, I believe. And as I already said, it's also the last creature that fled the Pandora's box. And so it brings me to a point where I want to share a thought about what could be a potential way out of this moment of shared distress and undefined hope. And I believe this is all about togetherness. And togetherness when we're creating art or exhibiting art or distributing art, when we're telling stories or helping other people tell stories, is about co-creation. We're going to speak about it today with Katerina, who's going to present the work of the MIT Open Doc Lab on the co-creation studio. But I just want to quickly bring this this short quote from Sarah, who's leading the MIT Open Doc Lab. What is it about co-creation that is so important today? And co-creation allows for a more just, equitable, inclusive processes. It's all about deep listening and working with people from the beginning. There's a lot of going on in this world, and we need change, and it requires collective action to do it together. And then we're going to enter 2021 soon, a challenging new season, which for many of us looks a little bit like what we see on this image here. And when I think about the future, I really feel like this guy standing under this bridge. And then that's why when I wonder, what is it that we can do to make this jump successful? The first thing that comes to my mind, go ahead and reach out to people who have been a source of real hope and real inspiration because of their knowledge, because of their experience, because of their empathy and their amazing generosity for a number of years in different digital communities. And that's how I got this idea that it would be absolutely amazing to gather these 5 brilliant experts to speak with us today and to share their thoughts with us. Because I believe that's the only way we can find hope and actual solutions for the season and years to come. So it's I'm super happy to say that we're going to speak today with Maria Machard from Centrefille in Montreal, Liz Rosenthal from Venice VR, but also a woman behind Power to the Pixel, which was one of the first, if not the first ever, amazing digital initiative that changed this market forever. Maria Rakusanova, an absolute powerhouse, representing Vive, but also curating Rain Dance that begins very soon. Ingrid Kapp from the Electric South, but also a contributor to Tribeca Immersive for a number of years. And Katerina Zizek, already mentioned, from Open Documentary Lab at the MIT, one of the members of the co-creation studio, and also an amazing artist with an amazing experience behind. She's going to share with you. So, what can I say? Let's enjoy the change and let's try to do it together. And I really hope you're going to find a light in the tunnel towards the new normal, thanks to the discussion and conversation we're going to have with our guests today. Thank you.